Hello, we are here today with a fantastic guest. She will share with us all her incredible experience, all her presentation style abroad. So, I will let her introduce herself.
Thank you, Lu. It's a pleasure for me to be here. My name is Almeida. I am a psychologist and I am an HR executive with international experience, leading topics as strategy, human resource, communications, health and safety, quality management, and sustainability.
Wow, that's quite a very robust curriculum, right, dear?
It's quite a journey.
It's quite a journey, yes. Now, thank you very much, Anna, for being here with us. And then, Anna, before we go into the presentation stuffs, please tell us a little bit how you met President Language.
So everything started with a corporate partnership, but it was even better when I experienced myself as a client. So when I was preparing to move to Germany, I felt that would be interesting to have this immersive experience with English, but not only focus on the language, but especially focus on communication skills.
Yes, but I remember in the beginning that the focus was English. Oh my goodness, my English is the first thought everybody has. Oh, my English is not that good. But as Anna is going to share with us, this is not quite the point.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Anna, tell us, because sometimes it's not easy when we have to prepare a presentation for a global scenario, and there are frameworks that can help us. Although many times we do it unconsciously, it can help us to guide, especially in terms of communication. So please share with us one project or one presentation that you made to the board that had an incredible result, and help guys to follow the framework that can help them.
So to be honest, at the beginning, I was not thinking of that. So I have made my career here in Brazil. And I think because we have this culture of being more spontaneously and do things in a more spontaneous way, I was just doing things. I was doing presentation, maybe using this kind of framework, but not necessarily planning and thinking based on that. So my first experience with the board was in Germany was exactly the other way around. I was presented to this framework, and I was advised to use that in order to present to them this project that I'm going to explain. And based in our work together, I recognized that, this is a model that it's well known, and that's maybe the reason why they were doing that. And as I said, I was using this type of framework without not necessarily knowing that I was working in that basis.
Yes, it was much more intuitively, right?
Yeah, completely.
Yes, I think that we can use this in an intuitive way, but sometimes when we have some challenge, new kinds of presentation or new audience, it's nice to have the framework to guide us. And something very interesting, Anna, that you mentioned is related to the way they use. Because as Brazilians, we are very accustomed, very used to following American style. What is the point? Result. But there are other cultures, as Germans, that are much more processual, much more complex, and this framework helped a lot.
Yes, what I learned from this experience was exactly like that. So as a Brazilian, maybe as American, we are more into what is going to be the result of the thing that you are proposing. Because while we are thinking about the result, we are also thinking about the way of doing, and then it's done. In the German perspective, it's more important to understand, first of all, the reason why, and how you are going to do that. So the process is very important. The planning is very important. And that's the reason why this framework that we are going to discuss, it's, in my opinion, focus more in those two topics to really explain the reason why. And of course, that the result is also important, but you stress yourself, you stress your presentation in this first session. And not jumping to the end as
not going straight to the point, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about this presentation. Was it a project presentation, result presentation, and what was the framework that you used?
Okay, so it was a project that I called People and Culture. I will explain the context behind, but just to give an idea. So as I said, I was working in an international company with many brands and many entities and group companies all over the world. And we were missing this connection among them. So that's the reason why we would like to focus on culture, because it's hard to find this foundation. It's hard to find a common way of doing and thinking, and a common way of working, a common way of that the way that our leaders were also working. And that's what we call culture. So that's how we act and why we act in that way. And this meaning was missing, at least specifically. And that was when this project started. And it was also a recognition that it was at the case not only a project for one department or area, it was really a combination of areas working together to build this concept.
It's extremely important because after many mergers and acquisitions, you start having a Frankenstein.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so each one using and doing things as they think it's good, and not really as an aligned company.
Yeah.
And this is a great challenge because a lot of entities involved, right?
Yes, but our idea with this project was not to, I would say, deal with all of the challenges related to culture in just one, or just treat it as everything in one project. Was really the start of creating this framework, or creating this idea of every time that we are doing something, especially something coming from the support areas like HR, communications, corporate development, HS, which was the area that I was leading at the time, that we do it in a more aligned way, not each department doing their own initiatives and then the employees trying to figure it out what was the reason why, but really thinking together from the day one what we are going to plan for the entire year or for the next 3, 4, 5 years in terms of initiatives that could give us this idea of one company, one culture.
This unit, right?
Yeah.
Like we are just one.
Yeah.
No, super cool. So this 3 act framework, that's the one that you used.
Yes. Exactly.
So then the first act normally is the context, the problem itself.
Yeah. So first of all, is the understanding and the description of the context. And that's what I said that the Germans like a lot when you really explain what is happening. And in our case was the identification of, okay, we are a group, but with a lot of independent companies, independent entities that not necessarily are working the same way, as I said. We are also a group company that have different brands, and it's creating confusion not only internally, but also for our customers, partners, so our stakeholders in general. We have different cultures because we are based in different different countries. So it's also causing something that creates this kind of confusion sometimes. And as I said, we have different ways of working, different leadership styling, and different systems. So many things that were not harmonized yet. Wow. That was creating this, I would say, it is a successful company. We were able to work in that environment, but could be even better, could be easier. And that was the point of the project, to bring out this possibility to our C-level.
Now, even the business among the entities can be easier made. Then you can have more productivity. You can be more assertive in the communication. So lots of things result from this.
Yes, and that's when we jump from the second act, which is the analysis. And in our case, what's interesting, because I was leading the project, so I was collecting feedback and material all over the place. So feedback from our customers, feedback from our partners, feedback from our employees, and also feedback from the results of the projects that we were working. And it was actually this conclusion of, we are doing great, but we could do even better. And then what we recognize that the brand itself is causing this ambiguity to our stakeholders. So sometimes our customers were receiving at the same meeting people from different companies that belong from the same group, but not necessarily they were understanding that. And then they were also receiving some different proposals with different logos.
My goodness.
So as I said, in our environment, this is common and our customers were used to that, but we could provide to them a better experience. So that was one of the things that we recognize. Also that we recognize that our employees have a low engagement on the initiatives, because as I said, they were receiving so many initiatives at the same time that not necessarily they were connecting each other. They were recognizing the importance of those activities that were rolling out. So for example, we had, at the same time we were discussing the reshape, which is a different concept in how to organize the company in regions. For example, we were discussing a new system. We were discussing new procedures based on also on these new systems. And we were also being pioneers in our field with the decarbonization technology. So many things happened at the same time that was creating this confusion for our employees.
At the end of the day, much effort and very little result.
Yeah, or not so effective as could be. That was also the case. We also recognize that we have this limited alignment among strategy and culture. So we had our strategy defined. It was very well defined and clear, but not necessarily these strategies, it was aligned or like connected, yes, to the culture that we were pursuing. Also this fragmentation, as I said, across regions, entities, group companies, and last but not least, all this operational inefficiency that we recognize in our as a result of our projects that we are providing to our customers, but also internal projects as well that could be done in a easy way, in a faster way, and in a more saving way as well.
Even considering all the process and complexity that the culture demands, but more effectively.
Yeah, so it was really important for, as I said, for the German culture and also for a company that is based on the German culture, not necessarily you see in the board, we have different board members from different countries, which is very
cool.
Important. Yes. But at the end of the day, it is a German company. So we have this common way of thinking.
This backbone of things going on.
And that's why those two acts are so important to them, because they really have to buy your project based on the context that you are presenting and the analysis that you are doing. And then they will believe on the results or the way that you would like to do it. So you cannot jump to the end. You have to prove yourself, your capability from the beginning.
That this result you're proposing is totally based on a serious planning process, that all the variables were considered and so on.
Yeah, because it's also something related to this failure culture, that it's not so well
seen well,
yes, in the German culture. So I think as a Brazilian, we are more living like that. We have this, we allow ourselves to fail, and we allow ourselves to learn and to correct, and we are also learning to do it in a more agile way. I think with all these business agile and agile methodology that most of our companies, could be international companies, but based on Brazil, are learning how to do it. I think we are getting better and better. But for the German culture, this is still something that they are not that into too. And that's another reason why these Act 1 and 2 are so very important. Because as you said, you have to prove that you are doing a project, or you are providing results based on all this analysis and planning that you did for the day one.
Yes, and even proposing later or through history changing the way of doing things, you have to show that it's important, that you have a planning for that, to be more agile in some process and so on, but that is totally fundamented.
Yeah.
That's not something that came out of blue.
Yeah.
So super nice. Huh?
Yeah. And then you come from the Act 3, which is plain, but could be also the results, could be a combination of objectives, could be. So it's showing how you are going to do that, and also what kind of results do you expect from that. So in our case, we defined 2 things for this project. We should work on the brand itself, and we should work on the culture, because one thing come together with the other one. So you cannot say from the outside that I want to be this and that way of company if you're not reflecting on the inside as well. So that's the reason why we were focused on positioning ourselves, defining our purpose, defining our motto and everything, and doing an analysis if what we have so far in terms of brand is enough, or if we have to change something. And on the other way around, how this culture will be built or improved to support this positioning that you are showing to all of your stakeholders. So that was our vision for this project.
Cool.
And of course, connecting the strategy to the execution. As I said, everybody was understanding the strategy, but not necessarily they were understanding how to put that in practice. So we have a lot of initiatives to work in that direction. Also, this integration across entities, group companies, and regions. So we were putting a lot of effort on that as well. Aligning our leadership into this culture that we would like, as I said, to improve. And of course, strengthening our communication style, because at the beginning we were more focused on articles on the intranet. And we know that nowadays it's not appealing to anyone in all generations, not necessarily the youngest ones, but also for me.
Time constraints.
Yeah, but I'm also, I love to read, but I'm also like seeing myself constantly scrolling on my cell phone or on the computer. So it's really something that we had to adjust. And we did a lot of videos and interview sessions, and also road shows all over the world to show and to explain and to have this possibility of conversation with our employees and our leaders to put everybody on the same page. And of course, that not necessarily you have to agree on everything. Sometimes we don't. But at least it's important to understand. And that's what we are trying to do, to give to our employees this clarity of the things that we are doing.
Super cool. But I remember that you commented that after you presenting this project and it was approved, it gave you also a global visibility. Am I right about that?
No,
it was the people culture.
It was the values.
The values. Okay, so I'll come back then. And then there was another, what I want to bring is that well done presentations, well-made communication, impact also on your visibility.
Completely.
And in the possibilities. Yes. So this project that we're talking now, you were already engaged in the global stuff in Germany. But there was a previous one that you presented to the board, it was accepted, and that gave you visibility as well, right?
Yeah. So I was based in Brazil at that time, and we were doing merger and acquisition. So the company that I was previous working was bought. Yes, from this new one. And I was, because I'm, as I said, I'm an HR person. And for me, it's really, really important to give meaning to people, to give purpose to people, because you're not going to you are not going to wake up every day and be part of your family just to earn money. I personally don't believe that. I really believe that we are doing that because we are in a company or in an institution or whatever, that it's changing something, that it's putting the world in movement. And because of that, I had been working in my previous companies in giving this meaning for our employees, based on purpose and values. And I was missing that in the new one that was buying the other company. I was missing this meaning of, okay, what this company stands for and why we are working here and how is our way of working. So how we as an employee, we behave to each other. And then I proposed to the head of a global HR at the time to do this value project. It was value/culture because at the end of the day is what we are talking about. But anyway, so I proposed that to him. At the beginning, he was not that convinced because he said that he tried with the board, the former board, to sell this idea. But because he was also selling that with a consulting that will cost a lot of money, so maybe that was also the reason why they shut down. They said no. But I was proposing to do that by myself with some colleagues that I could work together and not necessarily investing money in this initiative, but proposing something that it was really coming from us, from the inside, from the way that we were feeling as an employee. And that was happened. So I was able to catch some very, very good colleagues, great colleagues that was working with me on that. And then we did like a small survey with colleagues all over the world to see if our idea was resonate to them. And we received 98% of approval.
Wow, super cool.
Yeah. And then after that, I was able to present to all of our global leaders what would be our 5 values that if you go in our webpage, you will see everything there.
That is the face and identity of the group.
Yeah. So it was the first time. And of course, that at the time, I was not feeling well prepared as I was feeling better now. It was like 5 years of distance from one thing to the other. And then I, thanks God, I improved myself as a professional. And also I have this great support in terms of English and presentation. But it was a beginning for my visibility inside the group. And after that, as I said, because the People in Culture project that I was explaining, it's a continuity of this value one. So I was more well prepared. I was also more able to understand the context itself. So it was, I would say, easy in a sense of having the confidence to present in a very confident way the context and the analysis. And of course, for the result, for the project itself, I made a lot of adjustments with my colleagues that were working the People and Culture project together. But the most important thing was that I was able to sell this idea to the board.
Ana, I have no words to thank you for being here and sharing your experiences, sharing all these moments that you passed through, and to really base what we are saying that, okay, English is important, language is important to act in the global context, but it's not only the thing. It's just like an iceberg edge. There are much more to be considered. And the way you communicate, how you structure your information, how you adapt to the culture that is listening to you makes all the difference. And the result of this is not only promotions, possibilities, visibility, but at the end of the day is the feeling of having done something that really has a great impact for everybody.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course, you have both. You have some, how can I say, personal earnings, but for everybody. And see that the company is implementing a project that you idealize it. So I think that there is a joke in Portuguese, priceless. This is super cool. Thank you so much, Ana.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, and I hope that you can use this experience that I am sharing to improve your own communication style.